pressure tactics to take the heat off former Speaker Martin Romualdez.
Kakabahala ito dahil sisirain ito ang justice system natin. Dahil mas maraming papalutangin na maling impormasyon, fake news, so yun ang implikasyon ng mga paggawa ng mga kwento gamit ang mga false witnesses at pagpaplanta ng ebidensya.
The weather significantly improves, but in Bataan and Zambales, floodwaters have not subsided, and damage to livelihood and property are rising by the day. And the Marcos administration is turning to rainwater catchment systems that it hopes will finally solve Metro Manila's perennial flooding problem. Good evening, I'm Ed Lingao, sitting in for Ces Oreña-Drilon. We begin with the Ombudsman case against late Congressman Martin Romualdez being dealt another blow. The first person to tag the former speaker to cash kickbacks from infrastructure projects has recanted his testimony. But the Ombudsman does not consider this development a setback at all. The big story tonight from mobile journalist Amy Atienza.
Guteza first delivered a bombshell at a Senate hearing on the flood control scandal last year. He claimed to have delivered money to houses of politicians involved in flood control anomalies.
Ang bawat malita ay may lamang humigit kumulang 48 million pesos. Ang bawat malita ay may push-it na nakadikit na nakasaad kung magkano ang laman ng bawat malita. Tuwing may duty detail sa basura, may pumupunta na tao na magde-deliver ng basura at nire-receive ni John Paul Estrada at Mark Tiksay.
Now, he has another bombshell. He's taking back everything he said. In a new sworn statement, Guteza now claims Senator Rodante Marcoleta and former Congressman Mike Defensor, both now in jail on plunder charges, forced him to give testimony against late Congressman Romualdez. Guteza recalled that on September 24, 2025, he was brought to a Japanese restaurant near the Senate. That's where he allegedly saw Defensor and his brother-in-law Mark.
Sabi niya, sulat lang natin si Sendante. Sa takot ko, sabi ko, sige sir. Agad inutusan niya si Mark na kunin ang laptop para isulat ang kagustuhan niya.
When Senator Marcoleta arrived at the restaurant, he allegedly said that he would first read the affidavit. According to Guteza, the senator did not just read the document, he even revised it.
Sinimulan na ni Senator Marcoleta ang basahin ang ginawa ni Mark na affidavit base sa sinabi ni former Congressman Mike na sabi niya, pare, ayusin ko ang Tagalog. Doon mismo sa harap ko, inaayos ni Senator Marcoleta ang affidavit na yun. Sabi ni former Congressman Mike Defensor, si Mark kasi di marunong magtagalog.
Guteza also said he heard Defensor say how powerful the fabricated affidavit will be.
Ito na yung missing link na hinahanap natin kasi puro sila saltiko at ikaw lang ang makapagbabanggit kay former Speaker Martin na di-deliver ng pera.
Guteza said he was forced to own up to the affidavit out of fear and because he was promised money and his children educational scholarships. Defensor allegedly also told Marcoleta,
Pari, 150 million lang, masaya na tayo.
on September 25, 2025, Guteza became a surprise witness at the Senate Blue Ribbon Committee. It will be recalled that Marcoleta previously admitted that he met Defensor and Guteza at a restaurant and that he had already read the draft of Guteza's testimony.
Kasi po meron na raw po siyang draft na salaysay na kung gusto ko raw pong makita. Nakita ko po yung tao at pinabasa niya po sa akin yung isang salaysay na nakaporma na po. At nung makita ko ang kabuuan ng kanyang salaysay, meron po siyang personal na kaalaman para ikonekta si Representative Saldico kay former Speaker Martin Romualdez.
During the hearing, as Guteza read the affidavit, there were moments when Senator Marcoleta seemed to coach him.
Ito yung box ng pera na pinag-uusapan natin sa kasalukuyan.
Mr. Guteza, mag-stick ka lang sa binabasa mo. Huwag ka nang nag-a-adlib. Kung ano yung nandito, basahin mo lang.
Yes, Your Honor. Bago ibaba ang nasabing basura, ito,
Merong napuputol sa binabasa mo eh. Huwag kang magmadali. Huwag kang magmadali.
naputol na.
Ulitin mo yung paragraph 20. Basa mo. Huwag kang...
After the hearing on September 27, Guteza then said he was contacted by Marcoleta's office and was told to contact former COMELEC Commissioner Guanzon to have the affidavit revised. To this, Guteza allegedly did not agree anymore. At the moment, it is unclear where Guteza is. But the video obtained by News 5 came from attorney Melvin Kalimag, who notarized the new affidavit. It was supposedly signed on August 13 at a hotel in Ortigas. Senator Marcoleta and Defensor have yet to respond to Guteza's claims, but according to Defensor's lawyer Ferdinand Topacio,
this is nothing new. It does not come as a surprise. This is part of the harassment and intimidation. This has become a pattern under the present administration.
so far, 5 supposed witnesses on the flood control scandal have recanted their testimonies. That's Guteza and 4 so-called Maleta boys from the 18 testifying against former Speaker Romualdez. But the Ombudsman is not worried. It said they have 28 other witnesses that will link Romualdez to flood control kickbacks. These include active, uniformed personnel. The Ombudsman also attributed Guteza's change of heart to classic pressure tactic. But for former Senate Blue Ribbon Committee Chairman Senator Panfilo Lacson, Guteza's recantation comes as no surprise. Lacson maintains Guteza was a coached witness when he faced the Blue Ribbon. He also insinuated that Guteza may have even earned a double for his statements. Current Blue Ribbon Chairman Senator Erwin Tulfo, for his part, says he'd rather just leave the flood control issue with the Ombudsman.
Ang pinaka-fast way to hold these officials accountable, ombudsman na. Tingnan mo, take the cases po yung mga ilang na napakulong na ng ombudsman ng mga official. Mabilis po.
Kapatid Amy Atienza, we are One News.
Leyte Congressman Martin Romualdez will file a supplemental counter affidavit before the Ombudsman against allegations by the so-called 18 Maleta boys. This will include sworn statements from former drivers and security aides of fugitive ex-lawmaker Zaldico. The filing will also cover Orly Guteza's recantation. Romualdez's counsel Ade Fajardo says at least 25 former staff members of CO have come forward denying the delivery of flood control kickbacks to the former speaker or to any politician. They also claim to have signed statements prepared by lawyer Levi Baligod in exchange for money.
Pero makikita po dito sa isasubmit natin ngayon sa Ombudsman na pinasisinungalingan nitong malalapit na associates of former Congressman Zaldico, his family, and his corporation, SunWest, na may nangyaring ganyan. Sa ebidensya po, no, hindi po pwede yung haka-haka, maaring nangyaring ganito, or marahil, or posible, or walang duda. Yung mga ganyang statements po hindi po papasa sa pag-evaluate ng hudikatura.
Many of them, I think a substantial number said that they were explicitly offered financial reward to join the quote-unquote brave source.
Yes.
The lawyer is prominently mentioned in some of these affidavits.
Sinong lawyer, sir?
The one representing them.
Baligod.
Yes.
Fajardo also criticized the Ombudsman's ongoing investigation onto Romualdez. The former IBB president denied insinuations that Romualdez's camp had something to do with Guteza's recantation.
This investigation has been going on for several months, no? Sana, I mean, with all due respect to the office of the Ombudsman, alabas, wala man lang forensic evidence or object documentary evidence linking the former speaker. Only oral evidence or oral testimony na alam naman natin ito yung pinaka unreliable. In all of this, one thing is common. May mga taong nag-udyok at namilit sa mga testigong ito para idawit si Representative Romualdez sa kaso.
And joining us tonight is one of the lawyers of former Congressman Mike Defensor, Attorney Ferdinand Topacio. Good evening, Attorney Topacio, and thank you for joining us in the Big Story.
Yes, good evening, Ed. It's always a pleasure to be here.
Thank you, sir. Have you spoken to your client, Mike Defensor?
Well, not lately, but with respect to the present issue, I would say that this came as no surprise because as early as November 19 of last year, we had already gotten information that Guteza, who suddenly disappeared after his bombastic testimony before the Blue Ribbon Committee, was being forced or had been already forced to recant his testimony.
Pero sir, our problem here is that it's a he said, she said situation. Eh. On one hand, Guteza saying na he was, what was the word he used? He was practically forced out of fear and anxiety to sign an affidavit prepared daw by Senator Marcoleta. On the other hand, of course, you're saying now that your client is a victim of somebody who was forced to recant.
In which case, in order to find out which version is more credible, then we would have to look at the surrounding circumstances. And these are, number one, that Guteza was suddenly incommunicado after his BRC testimony. Number two, we have publicly declared that the family of Guteza, right after his testimony, was being harassed and intimidated by certain persons. Number three, we can see that there is a pattern on the part of the administration to intimidate and harass whistleblowers by imprisoning Senator Marcoleta and former Representative Mike Defensor, which has the effect of demoralizing the whistleblowers. So, under these circumstances and considering that there is a principle of law that he who is the author of an act stands to benefit from that act, is presumed to be the author of that act, then we can clearly presume that it is the people who are being pointed to as recipients of billions of pesos in maleta money who may be behind the pressure on the part of Sergeant Guteza to recant.
Yes, sir. But wouldn't your client be in any sort of legal trouble or legal issues with respect to Guteza's claim that he was forced or pressured by your client into signing an affidavit that he now claims is untrue and inaccurate?
That is exactly what the government wants to happen. This has been the pattern, as I have said. You can see that aside from the plunder case, which is totally ludicrous to begin with, considering that it involves no public funds and it is a campaign contribution, there are also cases for libel, cyber libel, even human trafficking against Mike Defensor. And of course, Guteza would also be in legal trouble for saying one thing under oath one day and saying another thing under oath the next day. So it all boils down to what does Guteza have to gain? What does Mr. Romualdez have to gain from the recantation? And what do Senator Marcoleta and Representative Defensor have to gain except for the national interest in exposing an anomaly or corruption in government?
Yes, sir. I understand, sir. Pero on the other hand, the plunder case against Mike Defensor and Senator Marcoleta, some would say that that's an entirely different issue altogether. And to your point po, that it involves no public funds, the plunder law provides for the violation of plunder with public funds and with private funds as well.
Oh, I will not argue the point. Because it is sub judice. All that I'm saying is that it is also acceptable in law that there can be established a pattern of certain acts. And we can see that there is already a pattern on the part of the administration to harass its critics, which is very sad because instead of concentrating on people who have been pointed to as having received billions in kickbacks, they are going after the whistleblowers. Remember, Sir Ed, the fact remains that it has been established even by the president in his mahiyahan naman kayo speech that billions have been stolen. Now, who stole them? They could not have vanished out into thin air. So what the government should be doing is unearthing who have been plundering public funds with respect to the flood control scandal. And instead of putting pressure to bear on the whistleblowers, they should be hearing them out. And so we can see that it is a saddening development in our country, and it is a deterrent to future whistleblowers.
But sir, at the very least, was there really a meeting in a Japanese restaurant the day before the Blue Ribbon Committee hearing? We're talking about September 24, 2025. That is the date that Guteza claims he met with your client and Senator Marcoleta.
I believe Senator Marcoleta mentioned something about a meeting to that effect. But even if there were, there is nothing wrong. Of course, you cannot expect a lawyer who is a senator at the same time to simply take a witness and put him on the stand before the Senate of the Philippines, no less, without meeting with him and checking out his story. So that is neither here nor there, and it does not prove anything, actually.
Okay. Sir, I also take note of the new statement made by Guteza where he says, I never had any direct contact with Speaker Romualdez, nor did I even see him at that address. So I suppose by that, that it implies that he had been to the house of Speaker Romualdez.
Well, that's what he is saying now. But, you know, a person under pressure who is probably under custody, whose life is under threat, whose family safety is under threat, will say anything. You have to remember that. But remember, when Guteza first said the narrative that implicates former Speaker Martin Romualdez, he was under no compulsion, he was under no threat. And with respect to the payment of money, that is ridiculous. There is no such resources available to the opposition. It is the administration has loads of maleta with which to buy, intimidate, and harass witnesses.
No, sir, I was referring to the second part of that sentence where Guteza says now, or at least admits now, that he appears to have been at the house of Speaker Romualdez before. And I quote, nor did I even see him at that address. So that implies that he had been to the house of Speaker Romualdez.
Well, you know, they say that when you tell a lie, you put elements of truth in it. So that is an admission that he has been to the house. It's just that now he is disclaiming any contact with Speaker Romualdez. Well, we will just have to take those two statements, those two contradictory statements, and see which one is more credible. Because as a general rule, the law frowns upon recantations, especially there is a plethora of decisions from the Supreme Court that says that recantations are not encouraged, nor are they credible. So the Ombudsman will just have to consider that. And I believe the Ombudsman has made a statement that it does the recantation in no way will put a monkey wrench on the present investigation against Mr. Romualdez.
Pero sir, moving forward, what is your client's plan with regard to Guteza's recantation?
We have no knowledge of that yet, but suffice it to say that, as I have said, we had expected this, and it was only a matter of time before the recantation came out. And you can fact check me on this, Sir Ed. It was on November 19, 2025, when we publicly stated that we have received reports of harassment, intimidation, and the recantation of Guteza. So this is not something that was totally unexpected.
Actually, sir, to be honest about it, a lot of people were wondering how Marcoleta and your client appear to have lost track of Guteza after the Senate Blue Ribbon Committee hearing. Bakit po biglang parang nawala siya sa inyong paningin?
Well, alam niyo po, that also proves na hindi namin minamanipulate o tinatakot o hinahawakan si Guteza, because otherwise, if this were a conspiracy to use Guteza against any political personality, sana itinago na namin yun. Hindi na namin pinakawalan. Inilagay na namin sa safe house. O, di ba? The mere fact that we lost track of him means that he was free to go whenever he wanted. Walang compulsion, walang threats, walang intimidation. No pressure was being brought to bear upon him. even during, before, and right after his first BRC testimony.
Yes, sir. I understand your point there. Pero on the other hand naman, it did appear during that hearing that Senator Marcoleta was coaching Guteza. Kasi we just played the soundbite kanina, Marcoleta telling Guteza during the Blue Ribbon Committee hearing, stick to the affidavit and just don't go anywhere else outside that affidavit. And
Well,
also the
that is
references.
subject to so many interpretations. It might be that he only wished to abbreviate the proceedings, considering we have to look at the context. If you have seen that particular session of the Blue Ribbon Committee, you could see Ping Lacson straining at the leash and trying to stop Guteza, or even implying that this was that the testimony of Guteza was a waste of time and should not have been done. So you should see it in that context, Sir Ed.
Okay. Sir, so moving forward, you do not see any legal action from your client's part as far as Guteza is concerned? At least
This
as of now.
happened only, I think, yesterday
Yeah.
or the day before. So this was very recent. And as you know, my client is incarcerated, and it's quite an effort to be able to communicate with him. You have seen how he was treated by the police. He just wanted to speak to the media, and yet he was bodily restrained, causing him physical pain. So, well, I'll consult with him and get guidance from him as to what our next action will be on this particular matter.
Okay, sir. We will follow up with you on that point. Maraming salamat for joining the Big Story, Attorney
Yes,
Ferdinand Topacio.
it's always a pleasure and an honor, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
You are still watching the Big Story on One News, and when we return, we also have the reaction of former Comelec Commissioner Rowena Guanzon, apparently named by Orly Guteza as one of the players in his supposedly fabricated affidavit. Please stay tuned.
Isipin mo na lang, maniniwala ba sa Guteza na mag-aabogado ako para sa'yo? Para sa ano? Will I have anything to do with Zaldico, your boss, at the time? Pero syempre, mas mabigat ang maleta, hindi ba Guteza? Syempre, yung boss mo ngayon, si Martin Romualdez na, my mortal enemy. Kaya sana makulong kayong dalawa.
That was former Comelec Commissioner Rowena Guanzon denying any connection with former Marine and self-proclaimed Zaldico bagman Orly Guteza. Guteza claims that Senator Dante Marcoleta's office offered to have Guanzon look at and revise a made-up affidavit linking the former speaker to flood control kickbacks. Former One Pacman Party List Congressman Mikey Romero has relinquished his post as a reservist of the Philippine Air Force. In a statement, Romero says it has been a privilege and an honor to serve alongside the AFP and thank the uniformed service for the trust and the opportunities that he received. Romero, a wing commander of the Tactical Operations Wing Reserve in Northern Luzon, ended by saying that genuine service is not measured by rank or position, but by what has been done for the people and the country. Romero's retirement took effect yesterday, August 19. This comes amid controversy over Romero's allegedly questionable medals, including a Gold Cross medal which he wore in one photograph with the AFP Chief of Staff. Romero has since denied accusations of stolen valor and maintains that all his military distinctions are backed up by official AFP orders and records. He also clarified that he did not wear a Gold Cross medal in the photograph, but a Gawad sa Kapayapaan badge, which he got for helping the Air Force secure 3 C-130 planes. In a statement, the Philippine Air Force says Romero has been relieved from his post as a wing commander while it investigates and verifies his records and his military awards. It did acknowledge the contribution of every reservist, including Romero, who served alongside the Philippine Air Force. And let's have somebody weigh in on this issue. Joining us tonight is former Marine Captain, or nag-major ka sa, di ba? And former Congressman Gary Alejano. Good evening, sir, and welcome to the Big Story.
Good evening, Ed, and to all your listeners, good evening.
Yeah, good evening, sir. Always a pleasure to have you on board. Sir, let me just back up a bit. If I remember right, you also have a Gold Cross, and not just that, you also have a Distinguished Conduct Star?
Yes, Ed, I was awarded Gold Cross and Distinguished Conduct Star.
Now, the Gold Cross is the third highest military award for combat. The Distinguished Conduct Star, tell me if I'm right or wrong, is the second highest.
Yes, because I was recommended for the Medal of Valor, and when it was not deliberated on, it was downgraded to the Distinguished Conduct Star.
Okay, just making sure that well, everybody's clear that you know whereof you speak. Sir, itong, I'm sure you've been following up on this story. You're very familiar with what's been happening. Your thoughts as an awardee of both the Gold Cross and the Distinguished Conduct Star dun po sa suot-suot na mga decorations ni Brigadier General Mikey Romero.
Well, unang-una siguro, I would like to give benefit of the doubt to Brigadier General Mikey Romero of the Philippine Air Force Reserve. Naging kasama ko siya in Congress, and he's a good man. But however, I don't know the specifics of the awards, but looking at it mainly, nakita natin sa dibdib and so many medals and awards and even the insignias and badges. Hindi siya akma sa isang reserve, because I have not seen anybody from the reserve force with so many awards, no? And even the badges, so many badges. So, hindi siya akma sa isang reserve officer. So, magka-question ka talaga kaagad, bakit saan mo kinuha yan? Kasi even an active officer exposed in combat operation in Philippines, would I be able to have that, so many badges and so many medals and awards? So, it has become controversial. No?
Yes, sir.
So, ang akin lang siguro, our armed forces, not only for this case, we really have to look into the specific matter regarding General Romero, and of course, the provision of awards to the reserve force, because kailangan din naman natin ang reserve force, no? Kasi naranasan ko ito when I was still in Congress. I took the General Staff course together with other congressmen. And during the graduation and even in the promotion, some of the congressmen I was with were wearing uniform with awards.
Oh.
No, nakalagay yung mga awards nila. So I cautioned them, because sabi ko, ang awards na yan, na hindi yan basta-basta ang dekorasyon lang. No? And honestly, yung ibang mga hindi din naman kasi nila alam. So kaya nga we should be giving benefit of the doubt to General Romero and even those other reserve, kasi hindi nila alam yun eh. Hindi nila alam. So ang mga staff nila na inutusan nila, siguro namili na ng anong magandang itsura, pinagsasaksak na lahat doon sa uniform. And
Okay.
So hindi maganda na ganon.
Sir, teka, let me atrasaw ng konti. Okay, we don't have to name names if you prefer not to. Pero tama ba, intindi ko na,
Yes.
na nakasabay mo ilang congressmen naka-uniforme, tapos yung mga awards nila, kahina-hinala rin.
Yes, kasi tinanong ko na saan yun nakuha yan, kasi bago pa lang kasi yung iba, they were not members of the reserve force at all. And because they decided to take the General Staff Corps or GSC of the Armed Forces, they're automatically promoted or awarded the Lieutenant Colonel
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
officer rank. And therefore, wala pa silang karanasan. So saan nila kukunin yung award na yan? So moment they wore the uniform, may award na. So kinusyon ko yung staff na hindi basta-basta nilalagay yung mga awards na yan, kasi it should be earned. No, it should be earned. So yun naman, correct naman yun. Pero siguro sa mga iba na hindi, kaya importante din sa we should also educate them and caution them na hindi basta ganun ang awards. Kasi sometimes, without offense to our armed forces, mas yung binibaby yung mga reserve natin, especially coming from the high ranks from the business sector and even the congressmen. Hindi dapat kung ano ang dapat na gawin niya at i-comply niya kung nag-schooling man sa armed forces, hindi dapat ganun kasi otherwise mawawala yung saysay ng isang reservist. Yeah, kung siya ay unang-una hindi nag-training, hindi mo alam yung even pag-salute, ang mga awards, hindi mo alam, that's sampal in sa armed forces.
Sir, yung mga nakita niyong awards na suot nito mga congressmen, meron ba diyang combat awards na nakita kayo?
Well, honestly, Ed, I did not go through the specific awards. Tiningnan ko lang siya as a whole. Makapal yung layer. Hindi na talaga siya
Makapal ang layer.
No? ang haba. Tapos, pero doon sa taas, kaya nga na-quote yung Gold Cross kasi hindi ganon kaklaro, pero it looks like a Gold Cross, no?
Yes, sir.
Yung
Well, actually, sir,
parang light.
Yes, sir. Actually, I
Yeah.
found 2 photos na klarong-klaro ng naka-uniforme siya na may suot siyang gold cross kasi it's a blue background with 3 white stripes. I understand it's a gold cross. Yan. At
Gold cross,
meron
yeah.
din siyang suot na blue backing with 1 wide stripe. Ayan po yung gawad sa kapayapaan na kanyang sinasabi. So he was wearing both.
Oh. Well, na Gold Cross is a combat award parang malabo yun, no? O ang reserve merong ganon. Lalo na sa Air Force siya. Di ba?
Okay.
So, ano yun? This is a lesson for us, all of us, na hindi dapat natin ina-allow yung mga ganon sa uniform.
Yes, sir. Well, I'd like to go now to the big picture of things. These lessons that we should be learning from this example. Kasi kahit paano, di ba, I don't think this is the first time that this has happened. Although it seems to be the first time that it was exposed. Di ba?
Yes,
I'm
this
sure
is,
that...
I think this...
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
This is not the first time. Ito lang kasi, nakakuha ka agad ng pansin kasi napakarami. Siguro kung medyo 1/3 lang yan, 1/3, tapos konti lang yung mga badges, baka hindi papansinin. Di ba?
Yeah.
Pero sobra. Ang badges ang dami, tapos ang award ang dami. So, kita na kaagad na something is wrong.
Yes, sir. But what I want to ask you is this, is there any concern on your part na baka the AFP is pandering or might be pandering too much to personalities who have political or financial influence because of what they can bring to the AFP? Alam mo yun, may resources, may hatak sa politika, o kaya sikat.
Well, dapat hindi naman ganon. Example lang, si former Senator Manny Pacquiao is a reserve of the Philippine Army. No? Pag nagsuot siya ng uniform, hindi naman, wala kang makitang award na ganon kadami. In fact, parang wala akong nakitang award, di ba? So, ano lang yun, yes, I am not accusing the armed forces na parang ganon giving favors, awards, but it should merit an investigation. No, kasi hindi pwede gano'n. Marami namang tumutulong sa armed forces talaga. Marami. Yung ating mga reserve, actually, maraming mga may kaya dyan kasi kulang talaga armed forces. Pero we recognize them by giving them plaques of award during anniversaries, recognizing them, or administrative awards like, example, commendation medal, di ba? O gawad ng ganito. So mga relief operations, pwede yon. Pero pagka something na combat operations na at saka nakita ko maraming koto, no?
Maraming koto, oh.
Yung pag nating koto kasi sometimes para na hindi ganun karami yung isang award, nilalagyan ng appurtenances, no? Yung natawag parang nilalagyan ng ang dalawang gold cross, isa lang makita mo pero meron koto na isa. Parang ganun tawag natin, no?
which means na he received the same award several times.
Yes, na-receive niya na maraming beses ito ng ganon. So, kung karami, tapos marami pang kuto, ibig sabihin na napakarami talaga niyan. So, very controversial. But I would like to emphasize, I know the person, mabait na tao yan, matulungin, pero kailangan din namang imbestigahan para hindi na maulit.
Pero sir, is there any issue as far as yung kanyang apparently speedy promotions is concerned or are concerned? Kasi for example, I think mga 2020 or 2021, he was an airman second class. I think he went through schooling, so he became a lieutenant colonel by 2023. By 2025, I think he became a full colonel. By 2026, he became a general.
Well, for me, sa ganong award, medyo questionable din yan. Kasi may timing grade din yun eh.
Yeah.
Ibig sabihin, you need to spend some time for that rank before you will be qualified to be promoted to the next rank. So may time to spend for that. And merong bilit din yan. Ibig sabihin, the position na inahawakan mo, may corresponding rank yan. So you have to go through that there. No, kasi kung magic yan na pinormote mo kaagad, well, I don't agree with it, no? Kaya nga yun din a reminder not only for the armed forces but also for the Philippine Coast Guard example, no? Meron din ganun eh na napopromote kaagad ng mataas. So dapat tingnan yung policy na yan kasi para reflective din na totoo talagang na dinaanan niya yung mga requirements, no? Dinaanan niya yung billets, and then kasi pag sinabi nating reserve, kasing galing dapat ng ating active yan, ng regular.
Yeah. Certainly.
So kung hindi sila ganun, dumaan sila sa proseso, and even yung mga customs and traditions ng armed forces ay hindi nila alam, something must be wrong.
Yes, sir. But, sir, okay, my last question, sir. Well, he has stepped down, or in his words, he has retired na from his position. My question, I suppose, is kasi this leaves a whole slew of, ang daming mga tanong na hindi masasagot sa kanyang pagbibitiw. Among them, for example, totoo ba o hindi nakakuha siya ng Gold Cross? At kung totoo siyang nabigyan ng Gold Cross, bakit? O sino nagbigay sa kanya ng Gold Cross? And so on down the line. Mukhang mga tanong na ito, hindi na masasagot ngayon dahil sa pagbibitiw niya. So medyo bitin po dun sa kung ano ba talaga ang nangyari at kung meron bang nagkamali o nagkaaberya.
Narinig ko rin, I don't know if I'm right, na ang armed forces will conduct its own investigation para malaman kung ano ba talaga ang nasa likod na yan. No? So, I believe kailangan yun dahil kung hindi magtatanong ang taong bayan, tingin ko most likely kakalimutan yun, no?
Yeah,
para hindi lang malagay sa... So, we need to ask questions and we need to demand from the armed forces na magkaroon sila ng maliwanag na sagot sa taong bayan para hindi na maulit at saka makita natin kung anong katotohanan.
Yes, sir. I understand, sir. And also, sir, huli na lang napakadali pong i-check kung talagang may gold cross siya o hindi kasi general order lang naman yan. May paperwork yan. It doesn't take 2 days to figure it out eh.
At saka sa ating adjutant may record siya kasi kahit na naka-soft copy, research mo na sa computer yan, makita mo yan.
Sir.
So maganda makita ka agad yan.
Okay. Maraming salamat sa iyo, sir, major ba o captain? Ano ba yung retirement na posisyon?
Well, I went out of the service as a captain of the Philippine Marine Corps, but I went back as a lieutenant colonel in the reserve because of the general staff course.
Nga pala. You did further studies. Okay, I'll refer na to you as a Gold Cross and Distinguished Conduct Star awardee, Marine Officer Gary Alejano. Thank you, sir, for joining us tonight. Other news, President Bongbong Marcos visited Tripa de Galina pumping station, the biggest of 70 pumping stations run by the MMDA. He inspected the station's trash rake facility, which draws garbage from canals in the area, as well as the pump engine room. Per MMDA's estimates, at least a half dump truck of trash ends up in the Tripa de Galina daily. The garbage and the amount of rainfall Metro Manila experienced in the past days resulted in massive flooding. This is why the President said there's need for 13 more pumping stations across Metro Manila and the nearby provinces.
Kailangan tignan natin kung sapat ang volume na kaya ng mga bomba natin para ilabas ang tubig. Siyempre, ang nakikita natin problema, number one, yung basura ulit. Kasi kaya yan ang tinignan natin, okay naman, malakas naman yung mga bomba natin, umaandar naman silang lahat.
Meantime, Malacanang has released a list of 39 areas in Metro Manila where rainwater catchment systems can be built in order to solve the perennial flooding problem. According to Palace Press Officer Claire Castro, detailed engineering is expected to finish this month before construction begins. This is a big story on One News. Meta is under fire for taking too long to remove violent videos from a recent school shooting in Zamboanga City. The CICC explains the holdup, the details of this and other stories when we return.
Sabi niya, sulat lang natin si Sendante. Sa takot ko, sabi ko, sige sir. Agad inutusan niya si Mark na kunin ang laptop para isulat ang kagustuhan niya. Sinimulan na ni Senator Marcoleta ang basahin ang ginawa ni Mark na affidavit base sa sinabi ni former Congressman Mike na sabi niya, pare, ayusin ko ang Tagalog. Doon mismo sa harap ko, inaayos ni Senator Marcoleta ang affidavit na yun. Sabi ni former Congressman Mike, Defensor, si Mark kasi di marunong mag-Tagalog. Ito na yung missing link na hinahanap natin kasi puro sila saltiko at ikaw lang ang makapagbabanggit kay former Speaker Martin na di-deliver ng pera.
Monsoon rains have let up, but the damage from flooding in several Central Luzon provinces are starting to emerge. In Hermosa, Bataan, farmers lament floodwaters ruining their crops and their fields.
2 beses na po kaming naglagay, parehas kong sira. Sa kagaya ko po ng magsasaka, napakahirap po dahil unang-una mataas po yung konsumo. Hapa, so talagang walang-wala.
Bataan has already declared a state of calamity due to the effects of Habagat and tropical cyclones Luis and Maymay. Damage to agriculture has already reached 56 million pesos, while livestock losses are pegged at 4 million and infrastructure damage is currently at 542 million pesos. 69 barangays across 8 towns have been flooded in Bataan, with over 2,000 families still in evacuation centers. Bataan Governor Jose Enrique Garcia III believes that flood control projects worked, but they need coastal defense systems.
Ito po ay magkakaroon siyempre ng dike, water pumping station, floodgates para ma-manage yung pasok at labas ng tubig. At tingin ko ang isang tingin namin ang isang talagang malaking maitutulong sa ating region ay yung water catchment, water impounding.
In Zambales, 5 flood control projects in different towns have been damaged, including the San Juan Dike in Botolan. Locals there hope for a stronger structure.
Sir, 2009 parang hindi na po na-rehab din yung dike namin. Parang manipis din po yung pagkakagawa at na maaprubahan po yung hiling ng Barangay San Juan na pondohan po yung dike ng Botolan, hindi po lang Barangay San Juan, yung pangkalahatan po para hindi masira po at madaanan ang lahat ng barangay ng Botolan.
Another reason for the flooding, irresponsible quarrying in the area. Zambales 2nd District Congresswoman Doris Maniquez warns that 10 barangays are at risk of being submerged if the dike gets permanently damaged and the rains persist.
Yung iba, malapit na dyan mismo sa diken nakapag-quarry. Kaya lahat yan, nag-uusap kami ng provincial government, ang DPWH at ang Philippine PNP, Philippine National Police, na talagang pababantayan na namin at magde-designate na talaga ng strictly na quarry zone lang talaga.
And here now are the other stories making headlines this Thursday from mobile journalist Daniel Dayao.
For Undersecretary Aboy Paraiso, Executive Director of the Cybercrime Investigation and Coordinating Center, it is difficult to take down harmful and violent videos on social media apps such as Facebook because of bureaucratic delays. The CICC recently tried it in the wake of a shooting that shook a private school in Zamboanga City.
So immediately after we had visibility, which is difficult because our visibility really depends on virality. Kasi yung live stream na yan, it doesn't have any tags that we can input into our monitoring and detection system. Tapos nireport po kagad namin sa Meta. And this is the unfortunate event since there's still gaps and still, the office of Meta here still isn't a proper branch office that dinaan pa ho nila sa proper channels before the video was taken down po. Kung nag-reach out tayo, we understand their internal processes.
Na-take down naman, but how much more time lapsed?
Around, from what was reported to me, it was around 79 minutes pa po, Ma'am Reg.
DICT, CICC, congressional staffers, and digital advocates will fly to Meta's Asia-Pacific headquarters in Singapore on August 27 to discuss mitigating online child violence, as well as protecting the integrity of the elections. Meantime, the number of Filipinos who consider themselves poor rose to 39% in July, from 35% 4 months ago. According to Octa research, that's equivalent to about 10 million families. 42% could not tell whether or not they're poor, while 18% said they're not poor. Cases involving pilferage or electricity theft are yielding low conviction rates. The Senate Committee on Energy on Thursday continued its discussion about scrapping system losses. Data from the PNP-CIDG show that from 2022 to August of 2026, 548 have violated the Anti-Electricity and Electric Transmission Lines or Materials Pilferage Act. 600 have already been arrested, while 129 remain at large. But of the 190 cases that have reached the courts, only 21 resulted in convictions. 123 remains on trial. PhilHealth President and CEO Dr. Beverly Ho says the state insurer and the Department of Health are advancing a unified agenda to improve outcomes and broaden benefit packages for Filipinos. The unified national agenda entails 5 pillars that include, among others, bringing primary care to schools and workplaces.
Pinaka-mabilis ay makikita nyo, magmo-mobilize kami sa mga eskwelahan. No? So to cover a lot more of the students, particularly in public schools and in your own workplaces, we'll really work with HRs and employers.
PhilHealth will also move 21 medicines under the Yakap program to the Gamot program to improve public access.
I think a lot of people are waiting for that kasi it's really quite easy for people to access the medicines in Gamot. No? So that would be probably the earliest that will come out of our benefit pipeline.
Program to improve public access. Kapatid Mobile journalist Daniel Dayao, we are One News.
But before we go, former Chief Presidential Legal Counsel Sal Panelo puts on another hat, and it has nothing to do with law or politics. Our big picture tonight, Attorney Panelo taking part in the selection committee of Miss Universe Pakistan. The Duterte-era official took part in the judging panel of Miss Universe Pakistan's Grand Coronation Night last August 18 here in Manila, where psychology student Misbah Arshad took home the crown. She will only be the 4th woman to represent Pakistan in the prestigious event. And those are the big stories this Thursday, August 20. I'm Ed Lingao. Kapatid, we are One News, your side all the time. Please do enjoy the rest of your evening.